A fresh controversy surrounding the alleged Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council has taken a more serious turn after lawmakers raised questions over documents that purportedly listed President Bola Tinubu and several senior government officials as members of the organization's governing board. The issue came before the House of Representatives as lawmakers investigating the council questioned how an organization whose status has since been challenged was able to obtain official-looking documents, operate from a federal government facility, and even secured a vehicle number plate from a government agency. At the center of the investigation is a simple but potentially explosive question. How could the names of Nigeria's president and several cabinet-level officials appear on the governing board of an organization that government agencies later said was not an authorized federal agency? The matter came up during an investigative hearing of the House Ad Committee probing the Presidential Foreign Intervention Promotion Council, commonly referred to as Pfipc. The committee, chaired by Yusuf Gandhi, was questioning the Corps Marshal of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Shehu Mohammed, over the issuance of 7th vehicle number plate to the organization. The lawmakers wanted to understand how the FRSC processed the request and why the agency did not identify what they considered apparent irregularities in the documents submitted by Pfipc. According to Gandhi, one of the documents presented to the FRSC purportedly listed President Bola Tinubu as a member of the organization's governing board. But the president was not allegedly listed alone. The document reportedly included George Akume, the secretary to the government of the Federation, Wike, the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, the head of the Civil Service of the Federation, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, the Attorney General of the Federation, and several ministers. Among the ministries allegedly represented on the purported board were Finance, Aviation, Agriculture and Food Security, Interior, Budget and National Planning, Marine and Blue Economy, Police Affairs, Transport, Works and Power. That composition immediately raised questions for the lawmakers. Why would the president, the SGF, the FCT minister, the CBN governor, the attorney general, and numerous cabinet ministers simultaneously serve on the governing board of an organization whose legal status was subsequently questioned? And if such an extraordinary arrangement was presented to a government agency, shouldn't that agency have stopped and independently verified the claim? That is precisely what Gandhi appeared to be questioning. He said the FRSC should have raised concerns about the documents and contacted relevant government institutions to establish whether the organization actually had the authority it claimed. The committee chairman also questioned why the FRSC accepted what was described as a purported mandate that allegedly did not contain official government security features. But Gandhi made clear that the investigation was not necessarily aimed at indicting individuals. He said the objective was to expose weaknesses in government systems so that agencies could close loopholes that could be exploited by individuals or organizations. That distinction is important. The lawmakers are investigating the system that allowed Pfipc to present itself as a government-backed organization and interact with public institutions. And according to the FRSC, the organization did not simply walk into its offices without appearing credible. Corps Marshal Shehu Mohammed defended the agency's actions. He told the committee that The FRSC followed its standard operating procedures when processing the application for the number plates. According to Mohammed, the FRSC received an application from Pfipc on April 4, 2025. A reminder was subsequently submitted on April 11th. Both documents were reportedly signed by Prince Adeyemi Adeniyi, the man associated with the organization. The application allegedly included documents intended to establish the council, explain its mandate, identify its governing structure, and provide details of the vehicles for which official number plates were being requested. But there was another factor that reportedly strengthened the organization's appearance of legitimacy. The FRSC checked the Pfipc's website. According to Mohammed, the website was operating on a federal government domain. Officials also visited the organization's physical office at the Federal Secretariat Complex in Abuja. From the FRSC's perspective, those factors created the impression that Pfipc was a legitimate government institution, and that is where the controversy becomes even more troubling. If an organization can operate a website on what appears to be a government domain, maintain an office within the Federal Secretariat Complex, and submit official-looking documents containing the names of senior government officials, it can potentially pass basic credibility checks. The FRSC also reportedly verified the chassis numbers of the vehicles before approving the number plates. The agency now says it was surprised to discover that Pfipc was not an authorized federal government agency. The FRS has since begun retrieving the official number plates issued to the organization. Mohammed also told lawmakers that the agency has strengthened its verification procedures to prevent a similar incident from reoccurring again. But the Pfipc controversy goes beyond vehicle registration. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission has already recommended the prosecution of Adeniyi, who is accused of operating the organization. Adeniyi previously claimed that Femi Gbajabiamila, President Tinubu's chief of staff and former Speaker of the House of Representatives, issued his appointment later. Gbajabiamila denied the allegation. The ICPC subsequently cleared the presidency and the Central Bank of Nigeria of wrongdoing, but identified what is described as institutional lapses across several government ministries, departments, and agencies. Those institutions reportedly included the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, the Office of the Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, the Budget Office, and the National Information Technology Department Agency. That raises another important question. If multiple government institutions encounter documents, websites, correspondence, or requests associated with Pfipc, how did the organization continue operating without its status being inconclusively established? Was there a failure of communication between agencies? Were verification procedures too weak? Or did the organization exploit gaps between government institutions to create the appearance of legitimacy? These are the questions lawmakers now want answered. The appearance of the president's name and those of senior government officials on the alleged governing board makes the investigations particularly sensitive. It is important to stress that the presence of someone's name on a document does not by itself establish that the person authorized, approved, or even knew about the document. The House investigation is therefore expected to determine the origin of the documents, who produced them, who submitted them, and whether any government official actually authorized the organization. The case also highlights a broader vulnerability within Nigeria's public administration. Government agencies routinely rely on documents, websites, official-looking correspondence, and physical addresses when dealing with organizations claiming government status. If those channels can be manipulated, the consequences can go far beyond vehicle number plates. A fraudulent organization could potentially gain access to government facilities, secure official recognition, influence institutions, or deceive members of the public. That is why the investigation matters. The issue is not simply whether 7 number plates were wrongly issued. It is about how an organization whose legitimacy is now being questioned was able to move through government systems with enough credibility to receive official services. The House Committee says it wants to identify those gaps and ensure they are closed. For Nigerians, the bigger concern is accountability. If the documents were forged, who created them? If government facilities were used without proper authorization, who allowed it? If official-looking websites and correspondence were accepted, why were they not independently verified? And most importantly, how did the names of some of the most powerful officials in Nigeria allegedly appear on a governing board without triggering immediate alarm? Those questions remain at the heart of the investigation. The Pfipc controversy has already moved from an issue involving one organization to a wider examination of how Nigeria's government institutions verify legitimacy. And as lawmakers continue their probe, Nigerians will be watching closely to see whether the investigation identifies individual wrongdoing, institutional failures, or both. Because the real scandal may not simply be that a questionable organization existed. It may be that the system allowed it to look legitimate for as long as it did. What do you think about the Pfipc controversy and the document allegedly listing Tinubu, Wike, and Akume as board members? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this report informative, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this report with others. I am Tony. Many thanks for watching.